She stood at the edge of my property, hands on her hips, that smug HOA badge pinned to her cheap vest. "You can't block the water like this, sir," she barked, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "You owe the HOA 2 years of unpaid fees, and this dam violates community standards." I wiped the mud off my hands and looked her dead in the eye. "This dam's been here for 40 years. My father built it before this neighborhood even existed." Karen smirked like she'd already won. "Well, things change. Either pay your dues or we'll handle it ourselves." I laughed under my breath. "You touch that dam, you'll regret it." But she wasn't listening. She had 2 guys from the HOA standing behind her. Clipboard warriors who thought they were law enforcement. One of them started taking pictures pretending to be some kind of inspector. That dam wasn't just a pile of rocks. It controlled the small stream that ran through my land, the same stream that kept flooding half the neighborhood before my father fixed it decades ago. Karen pointed her phone at me, recording. "You're threatening the HOA, sir. I'll be reporting this." I just shook my head. "You do that. And when your fancy houses start floating, don't come crying to me." She smiled. That cruel, confident smile, and said, "We'll see about that." Then she walked off, heels sinking in the wet soil, leaving deep marks like her own warning. I watched her drive away in that shiny black SUV, HOA logo on the side. The wind shifted and I couldn't help but mutter, "You just picked a fight with the wrong man." Because what she didn't know, what nobody in that neighborhood knew, was that I wasn't just some old farmer. I had built that entire water system myself, and I had cameras watching every inch of it. 2 days later, I woke up to the sound of engines, heavy ones. When I stepped outside, 3 bulldozers were parked near the creek, their lights cutting through the early morning fog. And there she was again, Karen, wearing a neon vest this time like she owned the place. "Morning," she yelled, fake sweet. "We gave you notice. You didn't pay, so the HOA is taking care of it." I walked closer, fists tightening. "You don't have the right to touch my property." "Oh, I think we do," she said, waving a few crumpled papers. "These say otherwise." I snatched one out of her hand. It was nothing but a printed notice with her own signature. No court stamp. No county seal. Just arrogance on paper. "You're trespassing," I said, my voice low. "You destroy that dam, and you'll be liable for every drop of water that moves through here." Karen rolled her eyes. "Yeah, sure, lawyer boy. Let's get this thing down, boys." The engines roared to life. Dirt flew, water splashed, and my father's old dam, the one that protected this land for decades, started collapsing under the machines. I shouted, but no one listened. Karen just stood there, filming it like she was capturing some victory for her little power club. When the final wall broke, water surged forward, flooding the lower fields instantly. I could feel my stomach twist, not from fear, but from what I knew was coming next. She turned to me, smiling. "Maybe next time you'll pay your fees on time." I looked at the stream, now free and rushing straight toward the neighborhood. The same neighborhood her own $1 million home sat in. "You have no idea what you just did?" I said quietly. Karen laughed. "Please, it's just water." I didn't reply. I just stood there watching that current snake its way downhill. Deep down I knew, nature always collects its debts. That night the rain came, not a drizzle, not a storm. It was a downpour, the kind that rattled roofs and turned roads into rivers. I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee, watching the lightning flash over the valley. Every strike lit up the path the stream had carved, straight through the HOA's perfect lawns and flower beds. By midnight, I could hear it, the roar of rushing water echoing from down the hill. The dam had held back more than anyone realized, and now that it was gone, nature was taking back everything. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I picked up. "Mr. Collins?" The voice was shaky, one of the HOA men from earlier. "The water's... it's everywhere. The retention pond overflowed and the basements are flooding." "What do we do?" I leaned back in my chair. "Call Karen," I said. "She's the expert." He started to say something else, but the line went dead, probably lost power. I looked out again, the rain still hammering down. Part of me wanted to feel sorry for them. But then I remembered the look on Karen's face when that dam fell. Smug, proud, untouchable. Somewhere in the distance, a car alarm went off, followed by shouting. The water was already reaching their streets. I grabbed my flashlight and jacket. Not to help, but to document. I walked down toward the creek, the mud grabbing at my boots. From the ridge, I could see it all. Houses shimmering under the floodlights, water curling around mailboxes, and Karen's shiny black SUV half submerged. She was standing in the middle of the chaos, yelling into her phone, soaked and furious. Even through the storm, I could hear her scream, "Someone needs to fix this. Where's that man who built the dam?" I couldn't help but smile. I whispered to myself, "He's right here." By morning, the whole place looked like a war zone. Cars stranded halfway in the streets, fences torn apart, and muddy water lapping at the front steps of every perfect little house in that regulated community. I stood at the edge of my property line, camera in hand, filming quietly. My land was dry, completely untouched. The water had curved away, just like I designed it decades ago. Every drainage line, every slope, every stone had been placed to guide the overflow, away from my side. Karen was pacing near the entrance of the neighborhood, soaked from head to toe, makeup running, shouting at two police officers who looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. "He did this," she yelled, pointing toward me. "He sabotaged the neighborhood after we demolished that illegal dam." One of the officers, a tall guy with a tired look, turned to me. "Sir, is that true?" I held up my phone. "You want to see something?" I tapped play. The video showed Karen and her crew ordering the demolition, laughing, ignoring every warning I gave them. Clear as daylight. The officer watched for about 20 seconds, then looked back at her. "Ma'am, did you authorize this?" Karen crossed her arms. "I was protecting the community. He's the one who built an illegal structure." I handed the officer another document and an old county permit stamped and signed. "Built legally. Approved by state water management. This dam's older than the HOA itself." Karen froze. The officer nodded slowly. "So you destroyed a legally registered structure on private land?" Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. For once, she didn't have a script ready. I could see it hit her, that mix of fear and disbelief. She'd played her hand too hard. The second officer spoke quietly. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to come with us." "There's going to be an investigation." Karen's voice cracked. "You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president." I finally smiled. "Not anymore." As they led her toward the cruiser, she turned back, dripping, furious, desperate.
"You'll pay for this."
I looked past her toward the flooded homes behind her and said softly, "I already did."